It was a Sunday night in late November in Seattle, Washington. The weather report had warned about an atmospheric river all week. By evening, the rain hit hard. It wasn't a drizzle, it was buckets. Wind shook the maple tree in front of my house in Ballard. I made tea, put my phone on the charger, and let a true crime podcast play low. The kind of night where you don't want to go anywhere. Around 9:30 p.m., I heard it. A heavy, dull bang on my front porch. Not a knock, more like someone stumbling into the door or driving a shoulder into the wood. I paused the podcast and stood up. Another bang came, then a rattling noise. My heart started to race. I walked to the door and looked through the peephole. The porch light was on. Rain ran off the roof in a steady sheet. A man stood on the top step, drenched from head to toe, jacket plastered to his body, dark hair dripping. He had no umbrella. He looked about mid-30s. He kept glancing back at the street like he was nervous. He saw the shadow of me at the door and leaned closer to the wood. "My phone died," he said, loud enough to carry through the door. "Please. I need to come inside and charge it. I'm soaked." I kept the deadbolt locked. I have a solid core door with a quick-set deadbolt and a metal strike plate I installed myself after a car prowler on our block last year. I also have a Ring doorbell pointed at the steps. "I can call someone for you," I said through the door. "Tell me a number. I'll call for help." His face shifted at those words. It went from pleading to flat in a second. He blinked slowly. Then he reached for my handle. I watched it with the peephole fisheye. The lever moved. He tried it once, then again, harder. The deadbolt held, but the entire door flexed a little in the frame. "Don't do that," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "I'm calling 911 right now." He stared into the peephole like he was trying to look through it at me. His jaw clenched. He stepped back and put both hands on the handle. He twisted and pulled. The door creaked. I stepped backward and grabbed my phone from the entry table. I dialed 911. The Seattle Police Department dispatcher answered. I gave my address and said a man who was not making sense was trying my front door during the storm. The dispatcher asked for a description. I gave it. Dark jacket, dark hair, no hat, no umbrella, soaked through. The dispatcher told me to stay inside, keep the door locked, and keep her on the line. Units were busy with weather calls, but were on the way. The man stopped working the handle. For a second, I thought he might leave. Instead, he stepped out of peephole range. I checked my phone screen and opened the Ring app. The camera feed showed him at the edge of the porch, looking over the railing into my side yard. He wiped water from his face and scanned the windows. He picked up an empty Amazon box I hadn't broken down yet and used it like a shield from the rain as he moved toward the side gate. I flipped the deadbolt latch on the back door, even though it was already locked. I put the cut wooden dowel down into the track on the sliding glass door. I turned on the kitchen motion light. Through the blinds, I saw his shadow move along the fence. The gate latch clicked. He jiggled it a few times and then pushed. The gate creaked open. "Gate's open," I told the dispatcher. "He's in the backyard." The power flickered. The microwave clock went black and came back on. The rain pounded even harder. I moved into the hallway so I could see both the kitchen and the front entry. My heart thumped in my ears. I held the phone so the dispatcher could still hear me. The man came to the sliding glass door and cupped his hands to the glass to look in. He saw the dowel in the track and tried to lift the door like he knew the trick of popping a slider. It rattled, but the stick held. He tried the handle again and again. He pressed his forehead to the glass like he was listening. He backed up, looked around, then walked out of sight toward the side yard. My neighbor, Megan across the street, texted me the same second. "Are you okay? There's a guy on your porch." I told her he was in my backyard now and that I had called 911. She replied that her husband was standing at their window with a camera and that she was calling too. The dispatcher stayed on the line. "Officers are en route," she said. "They're a few minutes out. Are you still in a safe spot?" "Yes," I said. "Front and back are both locked. He's out of sight." Footsteps came along the side path again. Then the front porch boards groaned. He was back at the door. He banged his fist against it twice, hard. The door shook in the frame. I pushed the small foyer table up against it anyway, knowing it wouldn't stop a real push but wanting the barrier. He jiggled the handle harder than before. The metal squealed. He began to breathe loud enough that I could hear it through the wood. "Leave, police are on the way," I said. "I'm not opening this door." He leaned close to the peephole. I could see one eye and rainwater streaks down his cheek. He smiled without humor. "Open up," he said, voice low. "I saw you." I didn't answer. Seconds stretched. My throat felt dry. The wind gusted and shoved rain across the porch. Somewhere down the block, a car alarm chirped twice and then blared. Maybe Megan's husband hit his key fob to make noise. The man's head turned at the sound. He stood very still, listening. Then he dropped the empty Amazon box, stepped back, and hurried down the stairs. The Ring camera caught him running, shoes slapping water on the sidewalk. I told the dispatcher he had left. She told me not to open the door and to wait for officers. I stayed where I was, staring at the peephole. My chest ached from breathing too fast. The rain kept hammering the roof. After maybe 5 minutes, I saw flashing lights reflect off the wet street. 2 SPD officers came to the porch. I checked the Ring and confirmed their uniforms and marked car before I cracked the door with the chain on, then unlatched it and let them in. They were soaked too. They asked questions in simple order: time, description, what he said, and what he touched. I showed them the Ring clips on my phone. They asked me to share them via email. I did. One officer checked the fence line and the backyard with a flashlight. He came back in and said there were shoe prints in the mud and fresh scuffs on the slider track. He wrote a case number on a card and handed it to me. I asked if anyone else had reported a similar thing tonight. He nodded. Calls had come in from Finney Ridge and Greenwood. Same storm, same approach. A man asking to come inside to charge a phone. When told they'd call for him instead, he tried door handles and side gates. No arrests yet. Nights like this, with heavy rain and power flickers, people think fewer eyes are out. After they left, I stood at the front window for a long time. My tea was cold. The house felt very small and very quiet. Every time the wind pushed the maple branches against the siding, my shoulders jumped. I locked the sash locks on the windows a second time, even though they were already locked. I closed the peephole with a little slider I had never used before. I didn't sleep well that night. I kept hearing the handle scrape in my head. Around 3 a.m., the rain backed off to a steady hiss. I finally dozed on the couch with the TV on mute.